You know that something that I love to do when producing and recording music is to experiment. Experiment with different sounds, different tones, instruments, and also different types of gear. And this is what I want to focus on in today's video. I want to show you how you can think outside the box when producing and recording music. And I literally mean outside the box, meaning that you get out of your DAW and you use some analog or external gear to add to your recordings. And that can be anything. It could be guitar pedals, a guitar amp if you're already a guitar player. It could be an analog synth, and like a cheap old reverb that you have in your possession, for some reason. You can use those types of gear in your recordings to spice things up, which is actually very cool. And this is exactly what I'm going to be doing today. I'm going to use some analog gear that I have here in the studio to add to a recording I'm working on. Let's check it out. Hey, what's going on? Chris Lim here from Mixdown Online. Now, before we jump in, if you want to improve your mixing workflow, I'm going to encourage you to download my free mini course on how to build the perfect mix template. The link is down below, so check it out. Okay, now let's jump right in Cubase and listen, just a quick listen on the song we're going to work on today. Okay, so this is a piece of music that I started to work on, I think it was like a year ago. Then I put it aside for like a few months, if not more. And then I went back to it, to finish it off and to release it. My original idea was to make this song an instrumental song, but my good friend Anne Clémence, which is an amazing singer, had to listen to the song and wrote a very good melody and good lyrics. So I decided to keep the song as it is, record the vocals, and not make this one an instrumental song. But the problem is that most of the recording was already done, and I needed to bring down the key of the song so it can fit better for Anne Clémence to record her vocals. So I went down from the original key that was F minor and down to C minor, which is a kind of a big jump. Not a problem since most of the instruments that I use on this production are virtual instruments. However, some of the tracks are audio recordings, like audio loops that I got from Splice and so on, So those were actually a bit problematic to work with, once I changed the key from F minor to C minor. Like this guitar loop that goes like this. Okay, I'm just going to bypass the insert and sends. Okay, so this is the sound of this take. Let me have you listen to the original sound that I actually used for this recording. Okay, so that is the original sound, the original loop from Splice that I imported into my original session. And when we listen to the pitch down version of this take, it doesn't sound very good. So what I had to do is to re-record this part. So I called my friend Jimmy, who is an amazing guitar player, and he just re-recorded everything like straight into his interface, sent me that clean signal, and this is actually what I asked him to do, and this is what we end up with. Okay, it's a clean sound. Now it fits better because it was recorded in the correct key, so we don't hear like those artifacts anymore. But the problem is it sounds boring. Not that the performance is boring; the performance is good, but the sound itself is just the inline signal. The inline guitar plugged into the preamp, and that's it. So what I'm going to do is to spice this one up and to add a bit more character and vibe and tone to this recording by using an actual guitar amp. So I'm just going to reamp that signal in a guitar amp that I have in the other room. Let me show you. So this is the amp I'm going to be using to reamp the guitars that I have in my session. This is an old Traynor amp. It's not mine, it's one of Jimmy's amps that he left here at the studio. It has a pretty huge speaker. It's a 15-inch speaker, I believe. I usually record with smaller speakers than that as far as cab goes, but this one sounds pretty good, so this is what I have to work with anyway, so I'm going to use this to reamp. Everything goes, like the audio comes out of my Snake, my XLR Snake, goes straight into my reamp box, that goes straight into the amp itself. And then I mic the speaker with the JZ microphone V67. Now, as far as the routing goes, I have my output connection connected right here out of channel 6, out of my interface, that is the AXR4 by Steinberg. Now, all of my gear is connected straight into these two patch bays. So I have output number 6 in this case that goes straight into my XLR Snake, that goes directly into my recording room. And now from that point on, I go straight into the reamp box that is then plugged straight into the guitar amp. Now the microphone, the V67 that is capturing the guitar cab, goes straight into my Drummer 1960, which is a preamp and also a compressor. Now in Cubase, there are several ways you can reamp a signal, and this time around what I'm going to do here is to go on audio connections, make sure that external effects is the tab selected, and I already have like a bunch of external connections created, and the one that I'm looking for is reamp. Now just to show you what I have on this reamp connection is the send bus, which is the output, that is output number 6, and then the return bus is input number 9, which is basically the Drummer 1960 that is routed by default straight into input 9 of my sound interface. So this is the connection that I have under external effects. If I go straight on my guitar line recording, I can insert that connection as a plugin, straight as an insert on the channel itself. So under external plugins, you will see all your connections that you created under external effects in audio connections. And the one that I have that I'm using is reamp. Okay, so this one is used because it's already inserted, and I'm just going to activate it. So now automatically the signal that is this line recording is going to be sent straight into my amp, and it's going to come back straight on this channel, and this is how it sounds like. All right, if I bypass it. Okay, let's get back to the amp. Way more round, less aggressive. So it sounds more like an amp now, So I'm going to keep it this way. What I did afterwards is to add a bit of EQ and some compression. Okay, I love that compressed sound, and I want to hear that effect, It sounds a bit more punchy this way. And if I add the send effects, which is a delay, pretty cool. Let's listen in the context of the music. Now let's blend it with the original guitar loop that has been pitch shifted. So I'm just going to keep the original pitch shifted loop way low in the mix, but the blend with both, sounds actually pretty good to my ears anyway, so I'm going to keep it this way. Now that I'm happy with the sound that I'm getting out of the amp, I'm going to bounce it. So I'm just going to bypass the extra processing that I added on this channel. I'm just going to keep the reamp option. I'm going to select my event, go up to edit, down to render in place, render settings, and I'm going to make sure channel settings is the one selected. So it's going to print all the settings that I have on this channel. So the reamp insert that I have on this channel is going to be printed. And there you go. Elect amp 3 is good. I'm going to click on render. Perfect. All right, I'm going to bypass reamp. I'm just going to drag this new audio on the same channel, on the original channel, and I'm going to reload the frequency and compressor plugin that I have on this channel, and I'm just going to paste, copy paste this this part. And there you go. Now I have my full take for the intro and the verse, so I'm good. So this is going to be my my new recording, my new guitar recording, which sounds way better than the line signal that we had at first. Next, I'm going to work on the bridge, where I also reamped that guitar line, but this time around I'm going to add something else, something pretty cool to spice things up. Okay, so this is the pedal board I'm going to work with, but I'm going to focus on this guy, the Robotalk pedal, which is a random arpeggiator. And that one sounds very good on guitars, so I'm going to try it out on the guitar recording that I have on my bridge. Now, I didn't want to mess around and remove the pedal out of the pedal board, so I kept everything in place and brought the full pedal board right here behind me. And everything is already plugged in, and I'm ready to go and work this out, you know, with the Robotalk pedal. That is actually pretty cool. So let's check this out in Cubase and go back to F4 in audio connections. And now I have a space echo right here that unfortunately is broken at the moment. I'm going to need to replace some of the parts to make it work again. So I'm going to just replace and change the name of this one and call this one Robotalk. There you go. And now as far as the input and output goes, we're good. So it goes out of my interface in the channel 5, the output number 5, and comes back into mic input 2 from the AXR4. All right, so now I have an effects channel. This is what I'm going to use on this one, an effects channel track. And this one is a mono effects channel, since the Robotalk is a mono pedal. Now I just added a bit of equalization, you know, just to filter out some frequencies like low mid frequencies, and a bit of the high mids also, just to, you know, to work on the incoming signal that is going to feed that pedal. And, you know, by just adding that frequency before it gets in, it just smooths everything up, which sounds pretty good. So I'm going to open the Robotalk, which is actually the external instrument plugin. Okay, so now before we move forward with Robotalk, let's listen to the part I'm working on. Okay, so I have this guitar part. That is a loop with a bunch of effects on it, which sounds great. And I have the guitar that I just reamped. That also has some effect that I added myself. So there's frequency for some EQ to tone shape the sound. And I also added an echo boy, a delay straight on the insert of this channel. The channel is stereo, the signal is mono, but the reason why I'm using a stereo channel on a mono signal is just because of that delay. I want that delay to stay stereo. And now I have my signal that I'm sending straight in the Robotalk effects channel. Okay, let's have a quick listen. That's pretty cool. Okay, so this is the sound of Robotalk when I put it into arpeggiator mode. Now, the thing with this type of pedal is that it's not synced to the tempo of the song, and there's no tap option also like we have on delay pedals. So I need to be very careful and very gentle with the the speed knob that I have. That works out the speed of the arpeggiator. But I think I'm pretty close up to now. Now on the Robotalk effects channel, I'm also sending that signal into a reverb and also into a multi-tap delay, the one in Cubase, which is a very, very good one. And that will open up the stereo image of this signal that is actually mono. So let's have a listen in the context of the music. Pretty cool. So, you know, at some point it's not super tight, so I'm gonna need to fix that up. But this is the sound that RoboTalk does, and I kind of like that. Now, as you noticed, it's not perfectly in sync. It kind of get out of sync right in the middle of the recording, so I just need to just readjust slightly as I go. What I'm gonna do now is to record that effect and print that straight in Cubase. I'm gonna create myself an audio channel. Keep this one mono, call this one RoboTalk. Rec. As an input, let me go and look for RoboTalk itself. That simple. And I'm just gonna start recording. So this type of arpeggiator is quite random, so that's why I had to just tweak around as I was recording, and I think I ended up with a very good take. So I'm gonna keep this one for now. So there you go. This is how you can use outboard gear like guitar pedals, guitar amps, and any other types of outboard gear that you might have in your home studio to be creative in your home recordings and productions. I hope that was helpful. If so, share and like, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel and to click that notification bell so you don't miss anything. If you have any questions or comments, leave everything down below. Until next time, take care and see you.